Hello everyone. So welcome to my session. So this session is a quick one-shot review of chapter circles. So where we'll be covering all the concepts which are related to our JEE mains as well as JEE advanced point of view. So if we see according to our JEE mains and advanced point of view, so this circles chapter is a quite important chapter. Right. So where if we see from our past year papers, so we can at least expect one question from this certain chapter of circles. So sometimes it can be more than one because it will be clubbing with other some topics and they'll be giving you the question. So yeah, so that's the reason why this circle chapter is a quite important chapter when it comes to our JEE mains and advanced point of view. So guys, so in our today's session, so here I have planned to have a quick review of our entire chapter of circles. So all the topics related to the circles in our today's one-shot review. So here I have planned to cover it in a 1 hour session. So let's see how it goes here. So let's begin our session of circles one-shot review. So basically circles is nothing but a part of our conic sections here. So that we all are familiar with that, right? So let's have a quick real life examples like where we can find this circles shape, right? So yeah, pizza. So it's a very relatable example because we'll be seeing this in our daily life. So yeah, it's a quite reasonable example for our circles in our everyday life. And then it comes a basketball ring, a bangle you can see, and a wheel here. So these are a quite real life everyday examples which we can see in a shape of our conic section circles. Right, so these examples I hope you guys everyone are familiar with it. Right, so now let's have a core from it. So like from where we actually get this shape of circle. So any idea? So I hope you guys have a quick idea for this. So basically we'll be getting this conic section circles from our right circular cone. Right. So if we take our right circular cone and we cut that in a shape here. So you can see. Sorry, one second. So here this is the typical right circular cone you can see guys. So here we'll be having different conic sections which we can get from this right circular cone. So one of that is our circle here. So that you can see in this animation. So here you comes the circle. So when we take, so when you can see this right circular cone here, when we cut that plane in a parallel, so then you can see it's a circle shape. So when we look that cone from our top view, so we end up having the shape of the circle. So this is the origin we'll be having from our right circular cone to the circle here. So that's how we end up having our circle. So we have seen our real life examples and our origin of our conic section circle here. So now let's jump into our concept according to our JEE point of view. So let's begin with the equation. Right. So in a general, we'll be having a 2-degree equation. So that you guys are familiar with. Right. So here it represents a 2-degree equation which is ax square plus 2hxy plus by square plus 2gx plus 2fy plus c is equal to 0. So this is a typical 2-degree equation. So now the question is when this 2-degree equation will actually represent a equation of a circle. So there are few conditions here. So if this if a equation which satisfies the following condition, then we can say so that equation is actually represents a circle equation. So what are those conditions which has to be followed by the 2-degree equation in order to represent a circle equation here? So that is the first one here is the constant a must be equal to b, whereas both must not be equal to 0. Right, so they both should be equal, whereas these both cannot be equal to 0. And the second condition is the h value must be equal to 0, which means here now the equation according to the first condition it should be x square plus as h must be 0 according to the second condition in the 2 degree equation. So this cannot be present in our circle equation. Then it should be y square because b value must be equal. So as I have taken a value 1, I have took my b value 1 here. Right. So the next here will be the remaining terms will be 2gx plus 2fy plus c is equal to 0. So according to the first two conditions, our second degree equation will be turning out to be this format, which is x square plus y square plus 2gx plus 2fy plus c is equal to 0. So now followed by the third condition here, which is actually a delta. So where this delta is basically formed from all these constant values a, b, c, f, g, h. Right. So this delta value must not be equal to 0. Right. So where this delta is basically equal to ABC plus 2HGF minus AF square minus BG square minus CH square. Right. And the last and final, so this value G square plus F square minus C must be equal to greater than or equal to 0. Right. So these are the four conditions, which means according to the first two conditions, the second degree equation will be turning out to be x square plus y square plus 2gx plus 2fy plus c equal to 0. So this equation will be representing a circle equation, and it will be when it satisfies the 3 and 4 conditions also. Right. So this is how we'll be turning out and getting our circle equation from our general standard second degree equation. So now as we have seen our circle equation, which is here x square plus y square plus 2gx plus 2fy plus c equal to 0 from our 2 degree equation. So this equation can be rewritten in the format of x plus g whole square plus y plus f whole square, which is equal to g square plus f square minus c. Because if we expand this and rewrite and simplify the terms, which we end up having the same term here. So let's see that. So x square plus g square plus 2gx, and then second expansion y square plus f square plus 2fy, which is equal to g square plus f square minus c. So this g square and this g square will get cancelled. Similarly, this f square and this f square will be getting cancelled, and we will be remaining with x square plus y square plus 2gx plus 2fy plus c is equal to 0, which is nothing but the equation which we derived from our second degree equation. Right. So here, so this represents the general equation of circle, which can be written in another form, which is given here, that is x plus g whole square plus y plus f whole square, which is equal to g square plus f square minus c. So now you might have a question why we have to rewrite this. So we will be rewriting in order to get the center as well as the radius of the circle in a easier way. So now here this will be our general equation of the circle, which we have represented here, that is given by x plus g whole square plus y plus f whole square, which is equal to g square plus f square minus c. So now accordingly the center of the circle will be equal to minus g comma minus f. So here you can see, so from here we'll be taking the minus g and here it will be minus f. So the center of the circle here is nothing but minus g and minus f from this general equation of the circle. And similarly the radius here is represented by root over g square plus f square minus c, which is square root of the right hand side term, which is given here in our general equation of the circle. So this from here you can identify the general equation of the circle, as well as from the general equation we can write the center as well as the radius of the circle. So as I mentioned here, so this is the general equation, which means according to some other conditions we will be having different cases or different forms of equations of circles. So let's have a look over the different forms of equations of circle which we are having here. So before having that different forms of equation of circle, so as we have seen the radius here, which is root over g square plus f square minus c. So let's see the nature of the circle. So by this radius of the circle, so we can have a relation between the nature of the circle and the radius of the circle. So let's have a look over the nature of the circle with respect to the radius. So we know the radius of the circle is given by root over g square plus f square minus c. So this expression here is nothing but my radius of the circle. So based upon my radius of the circle, I can actually figure out my nature of the circle, like whether it's a real circle, it's an imaginary circle. So that's basically the nature of the circle, right? So the first condition which we can take from this radius is the root expression here, which is g square plus f square minus c. So what happens when this expression is greater than 0? That means the value of g square plus f square minus c is greater than 0, which actually directly gives us the radius here is a real value. Because whenever the expression inside the square root is greater than 0, then the value will obviously a real value. So the radius here will be a real. So it correspondingly gives the nature of the circle, which is also a real circle. That means if the value g square plus f square minus c is greater than 0, it indicates that, it concludes that the circle is a real circle. So what happens when this value is equal to 0? So g square plus f square minus c is equal to 0. That means our root expression is also 0, which means the radius here is equal to 0. So what happens when your radius is equal to 0? What is the nature of the circle? So basically our definition will be this distance. So this is our center and this is any arbitrary point on the circle. Right, so according to the definition of the circle, so the distance between this arbitrary point and the center will always be constant, which is the radius here. Right, so that's why if here this radius becomes 0, which means we'll be having only this point. So if radius is equal to 0, then the circle is known as the point circle here. Right, so this is our second condition, and the third condition will be when the value is less than 0. That means g square plus f square minus c is less than 0. When this value is less than 0, which indicates our radius is a imaginary. That means when we have a square root expression and negative, then it will be a imaginary value. So when the radius of the circle itself is a imaginary value, it obviously indicates that, it obviously concludes that the circle here is also a imaginary circle, which means we will not be able to draw the circle. Which means when the circle is a imaginary, that drives us to show that it is impossible to draw the circle. Right, so this is basically the relation between the radius here and the nature of the circle. Right, so as we have seen our standard form of circle, radius and the center, and we have even seen the relation between the radius as well as the nature of the circle. So now let's jump here and see the different particular cases of equations of circle, or we can say the different forms of equation of circle which we'll be having. Right, so let's go through that. So here, if center of a circle is h comma k and radius is r, so then the equation of circle. So let's take a figure. So let's go understand this by our definition of circle itself. So here it's a center h comma k and radius of the circle is also given here, which is r. So now according to the definition of the circle, so the distance between the center point, or else we can say the distance between the fixed point to the revolving arbitrary point will always be constant. That means if we take this arbitrary point as x comma y, so the distance between the fixed point and the arbitrary point will always be constant. So that is the definition of the circle which we have learnt. right? So you can use the distance formula here, which means x minus h whole square plus y minus k whole square under root, so that is distance. So the distance between these 2 points is nothing but the radius, which is r. So now let's square it on both sides, which will be giving x minus h whole square plus y minus k whole square, which is equal to r square. So this is basically the equation of the circle when the center is given to be h comma k and the radius is given to be r. So we have basically derived this equation using the definition itself. So remaining following cases of the circle also you will be deriving that using the definition only. So I'll just quickly have a go through of those particular cases of our equations of circle one by one. So the first one here is when we are having a center. So let's start with the origin, right? So let's consider when the center of the circle is origin. So then what will be the corresponding equation of the circle? Again you can go by the definition, so which is arbitrary point here and the radius is given to be a here. So now how we have derived our previous case, you can go by the standard definition of the circle, where the distance between the fixed point and the arbitrary point will always be a constant here. So then you will be end up having the equation of the circle when the center is origin, then it is given to be x square plus y square is equal to a square. So our first particular case you can identify here, which is when the center is the origin, right? And the next one here you can see, so instead of having the center as origin, so now we have replaced our center with some point h comma k, right? So initially our center is the origin, but now our center is not origin, whereas the circle is actually passing through the origin, which means origin is actually a point on the circle. So this is the origin, right? So some arbitrary point here you can take x comma y. So from this arbitrary point to the center of the circle, which we have considered the center to be h comma k, so that is also radius here, which is a. So now you can go by our standard definition and you can find the equation of this particular case easily, which is given by here x square plus y square minus 2hx minus 2ky is equal to 0. So let's move ahead. So far what we have seen, when the first case we have seen when the origin is the center, and the next case we have seen when the origin is on the circle. So now the third case is about when the circle actually touches the x-axis. So when the circle touches the x-axis, what will be the coordinate here? So when it touches x-axis, it will be x comma, y coordinate will be obviously 0. And then you can take some arbitrary point x comma y here. Right. So again you can, because here they have given the fixed distance, that is the radius here, to be equal to a. Then again according to the definition you can go and get the equation of the circle when the circle touches the x-axis. So which is at the point x comma 0, which is given by here the equation x square plus y square minus 2hx minus 2ay plus h square is equal to 0. So now as we have seen, when the circle touches at the y-axis, so the next case will be when the circle touches the y-axis. So now where it will be touching the y-axis, it's obviously the x coordinate will be 0, whereas y coordinate will be having some value, right, which is y here, which I have considered. So now according to the definition itself, you can again go through here and get the equation of the circle when the circle touches the y-axis here. And the equation here is followed by x square plus y square minus 2ax minus 2ky plus k square is equal to 0. Right. So now we have the next one will be when the circle touches both the axes. So both y-axis as well as x-axis, here you can see it's touching the y as well as the x-axis respectively. So the corresponding equation you can see, the radius will be a here and the points which will be touching here is 0 comma y, and here x comma 0, and according to the distance formula, again from the definition you can figure out the equation which is given here in the slide, right? So moving on to the next one here. So far what we have covered, guys, with center, origin, with origin touching the circle, lying on the circle, and the circle touching the x-axis, the circle touching the y-axis, and circle touching the both the axes. So now coming to our next particular case here, where the center of the circle is actually lying on the x-axis, which means here center is lying on this point x-axis at C, which means the coordinates of this point C, which is the center, are given to be a comma 0, where a is the radius of the circle, right? So then you can take some arbitrary point here in order to find the equation, right? So this is a, so which means x minus a whole square plus y minus 0 whole square, which is the radius, equal to a under root. So now squaring on both sides, it will be x minus a whole square plus y square, which is equal to a square. So let's expand this, which is x square plus a square minus 2ax plus y square is equal to a square. So now these two constants will get cancelled, and this will be resulting the equation of the circle, which is x square plus y square minus 2ax is equal to 0. So this will be the equation of the circle when it actually passing through the origin and having the center of the circle which is lying at the x-axis here, right? So the similar way, as it is having the center at the x-axis, the next possibility case here will be the circle passing through the origin and having the center of the circle lying on the y-axis. So here you can identify that. So when the center of the circle lying on the y-axis, what will be the coordinates of the circle here? So we will be having the coordinates of the circle. So as it is lying on the y-axis, so the x coordinate will be obviously becoming 0. So the coordinates of the center of the circle will be 0 comma a here, right? So this will be the center, and you can take some arbitrary point, and the radius is also given, which is a here. So now according to the definition, you can actually derive the equation of the circle by your own, like how we have written and derived for our previous case of equation of the circle, right? So let's move on to the next particular case here. So the next case is about touching the both the axes. So in the previous case, it is touching the x-axis, and the before one it is the previous one it is touching y-axis, and the before one it is about touching the x-axis. But now it is cutting both the axes at two intercepts a comma b. That means this point on the circle will be a comma 0, and this point on the circle will be 0 comma b, and it is passing through the origin here. And the radius, you can actually, here the radius is not actually given, but you can take the, so here I am C, and let this be point B, and let this be point A. That means here your BC distance is the radius, and similarly AC is also radius. So this will be equal. That means you can find this equation of the circle using this condition where BC is equal to AC. So as it's a distance, you can square it on both sides, which implies BC square is equal to AC square. So let's you can do that, and then you can take some arbitrary point and equate that. So from there you will be having the condition. So this will be giving you a standard condition, whereas in order to get the equation, you can take some arbitrary point here, x comma y. So let it be some P. So this PC is our arbitrary, and that is also radius, which will be equal to our standard point. So you can go by the condition in order to get the equation of the circle which actually passes through the origin here. So far we have seen our different particular cases which are related to our origin, and then we have seen our equation of circle related to our x and y axis and all. So now let's see our equation of the circle when we have the 2 points which are actually the ends of the diameters. So in the previous cases, how we have written our equation, guys? So in the previous all the cases, either we are having the center to be the origin, the center to be a point on x-axis and y-axis, something like that. But now here, in order to write the equation of the circle, the given conditions here are nothing but the ends of the diameter of the circle. So if you see the circle here, right? So let me take, if this is my center C, right? So for a circle, the longest chord is nothing but the diameter. So this will be my diameter. So this will be my one end of the diameter, and this will be my another end of the diameter. Right. So if in my question, if I have given with the 2 points which are diameters of my circle, then how will be the equation of the circle be constructed using those 2 points which are ends of the diameter? So that is nothing but directly here you can see the equation of the circle when the ends of the diameters are given. So which is x minus x1 into x minus x2 plus y minus y1 into y minus y2 is equal to 0. So you can either expand it or else you can leave it like this. And here if you see, so these two are my ends of the diameter. So now what will be my center? My center is nothing but the midpoint of these 2 points. So midpoint of the line joining the ends of the diameter, which means my center is basically midpoint of these 2 points, which is x1 plus x2 by 2 comma y1 plus y2 by 2. So that is my center of the circle when the ends of the diameters are given. Similarly, I can even find my radius of the circle also, because this radius is nothing but distance between my distance between my center and my one of the end of the diameter, right? So this will be x1 comma y1 for suppose, and my center will be x1 plus x2 by 2 comma y1 plus y2 by 2. So now you can apply your distance formula between these 2 points. That will be equal to the radius of the circle here. So hence the radius of the circle here will be given, that is root over x2 minus x1 by 2 whole square plus y2 minus y1 by 2 whole square, right? So far we are dealing about our equation of circle for the different possible cases. We have started with the origin, x and y axis, and now we have seen when we have 2 points of ends of diameter. So now my question is, how we'll be constructing the equation of circle when we have 3 non-collinear points? So far we are talking about 1 point, 2 points and all. So now let's jump into the 3-point concept. When we have 3 non-collinear points, how we'll be constructing the equation of the circle? So the equation of the circle which is given here when it is passing through 3 non-collinear points A, B and C. So here we are having 3 non-collinear points A, B, C with the coordinates here x1 comma y1, y2 x2 comma y2, x3 comma y3. So then the corresponding equation of the circle here will be this determinant. So you can write this determinant, which will be the equation of the circle here, right? So now let's see the another type of equation, which is the parametric equation. So when it comes to parametric for a circle, in generally we will be having our theta, which is sine and cos trigonometric functions. So basically here you can see this is the circle and this is our center of the circle, and P is the arbitrary point x comma y here, right? So the angle which is made between here is a theta. So now if I drop a perpendicular here, so I can write my x and y in terms of my theta, where my x will be equal to, x coordinate will be equal to a cos theta, whereas my y coordinate will be equal to a sin theta, because here it is actually forming a right angle triangle. So this is my right angle triangle. So this is 90 degrees, this is theta, and this distance is a. And now I have to get my point. So this distance is my x and this distance is my y. So here this x will be equal to a cos theta and this y will be equal to a sin theta, which gives my coordinates of point P in terms of my parametric format, which is a cos theta comma a sin theta. Alright, so it's just that you have to simply replace here and you will be getting the equation of the circle in parametric form. So here I have given you the standard derivation, like how we actually get that in our parametric form. So I have shown you the figure, our right angle, triangle and theta and everything. So that's how we actually get our parametric equation of the circle. So if you guys clear with this concept of this right angle triangle, you can find for any other circles which is given. So easily you can find the parametric equation of the given circle. So now as we have seen our different forms of equations, so we have started with our general format and then we have jumped into our different particular cases and then we have get into our 2-point form of circle where the ends of diameters are given, and then we have seen our 3-point circle where our non-collinear points are given and parametric form. So we are actually covering our equation of the circles. So now as we are done with our equation of the circle, so now let's see our next one, which is related to relation between our point and a circle. So now as we have seen our equation, now we are familiar with writing the equation of a circle. So for suppose if this is my circle and I am having some point P with the coordinates x1 comma y1. So here I have to identify whether this point actually lies inside the circle or on the circle or outside the circle. So how we can identify whether this point lies inside, outside or on the circle? So that we can actually identify using our equations of the circle. So that's how we have entirely covered our equations of circle. Right. So once we are done with our equations of circle, so now in order to predict whether the points lies inside, outside or on the circle, here we require the equation of the circle. So let's see how we actually find that. So we have to take the equation of the circle. So let's represent that with S. So let's take a general equation, which is x square plus y square plus 2gx plus 2fy plus c is equal to 0. So this is my general equation of the circle here. So now in order to identify a point P, whether it lies inside, outside or on the circle, so take this point and substitute that point on the equation of the circle. Then it will be turning out to be S1, which is after substituting the point in the circle. So which will be x1 square plus y1 square plus 2gx1 plus 2fy1 plus c. Right, so this will be my S1 after substituting the point in the equation of the circle. So if in questions, if they haven't given the direct equation of the circle, you guys are aware of that how to find that, because so far we have dealt with our equations of circle. So with that, I hope there is no confusion to write the equation. So once we have the equation, so let's take the point and substitute in the equation of the circle and see the result. That means we have to check whether this S1 value is greater than 0 or this S1 value is equal to 0 or this S1 value is less than 0. If in case this S1 value is greater than 0, that indicates that point P is actually lying outside the circle. Whereas if it is equal to 0, it indicates that the point is lying on the circle. And third condition, which is less than 0, which indicates that the point P is actually lying inside the circle. So these are the conditions. So in order to predict the point whether lies inside, outside or on the circle, here we require the equation of the circle. So with the equation of the circle, we can find whether a point, find the position of the point. Right. So now as we have seen the position of point, so the next topic here is the next point here is intercept lengths made by the circle on x and y axis. So the intercept length when it cuts the x-axis or cuts the y-axis, what will be the intercept length? So the intercept length on the x-axis will be 2 root over g square minus c, whereas on the y-axis it will be 2 root over f square minus c. So if you guys have any confusion with this, so you can get back to my full version circle videos where I have explained this intercept length with the detailed derivation there. So you can go through that in my full detailed session of circles. So now so far we are dealing with our equation part of the circle, and then we have seen the application part in order to locate the position of the point. So now let's see a question related to our this equation thing and all. So far so here I'll be just giving you the hint how to actually solve this question. I'm not going to solve the entire solution here. So let's read the question. So from the point A 3, 2, a line is drawn to any point on the circle. So let's take a circle. So this is my circle. So the circle equation here, which is given x square plus y square equal to 1, which means the center will be origin and the radius here is equal to 1. Right. So if locus of midpoint of this line segment, so here from a point 3, 2. So let me take a point 3, 2 here. A line is drawn to any point on the circle. So let's take the point here and draw. Okay. So from this point 3, 2 to this point on the circle, I have drawn a line. So if locus of midpoint of this line segment, so this is the midpoint. So this point is given to be A. So let me take this point to be P and let me take this point to be Q. So P is a point on my circle and Q is the midpoint. So let me take the midpoint to be H, K. So if it is midpoint, then Q is the midpoint which divides this P and A in 1:1 ratio. Right, because they have mentioned it's a midpoint, right? So if locus of midpoint of this line segment is a circle, so the locus of this midpoint, so if this is a circle, then you have to find the radius of this circle. So how we'll be finding that? So in order to get that, here you can see this locus point which we have identified to be H, K. So now according to our section formula, you can find the coordinates of point P. Yes or no? So but these coordinates of point P will be in the format of H and K. So let's see. So you will be having the points of coordinates of point P in terms of H and K, because those are the only unknowns here. So you will be having point P to be 2H minus 3, 2K minus 2. So which will be here. So now according to this circle, the distance between this origin and P will be equal to 1. Yes or no? So if we apply that condition, we end up having a equation which is a locus in terms of H and K. So that locus is nothing but the circle. If that is a circle, if you get the equation of the circle, you can easily find the radius. So that implies here, so using this circle radius concept, the distance between this center O 0, 0 and P, you can apply the distance formula and equate that to 1, which you will be end up having the locus of this midpoint. And from that you can easily find the radius of this, which is actually equal to 1/2. So just solve this one and check the answer later on. So far we are talking about our equation of circle, and then we have entered into our application part where we have seen the position of a point. So there we have seen whether the point lies inside the circle, outside the circle, on the circle, right? So if we are having a point on the circle, so let's take that first case. So if a point position is on the circle, then that is the possibility where we can actually draw a tangent to the circle. Yes or no? So when the position of point is lying on the circle, that's the case where we can actually draw the tangent to the circle. So which you can see here. Right. So if you draw tangent to the circle, which is a line here, then obviously we will be having the equation for the tangent. Yes or no? So now let's have a look over that equation of tangent when we are having that position of point is on the circle. So we are having two more cases. So let's go one by one. So the first case we are starting here is when the position of point is lying on the circle, which end up giving you the tangent here. So let's have a look over this tangent and then we'll jump into our next two cases of the position of point. Right. So even for this tangents also we are having different forms of equations. So in that the first form of equation that we are going to talk about here is a point form of equation. Right. So here you can see. So this is our point P. Okay, let me draw it again. So this is our continuation to our position of point. So there is a point P with coordinates x1 comma y1. Right. So these points x1 comma y1 is actually a point lying on the circle. Right. So this is the point actually lying on the circle here. So if I draw a tangent to this, so this will be my tangent. So for this tangent, I will be having my equation. So the first form of equation of this tangent is nothing but a point form of equation. So this is my point here. So correspondingly, I will be having my equation of the circle too. Then my equation of tangent is nothing but t equal to 0. So basically t equal to 0 is nothing but simply in place of x square we will be replacing with x1. In place of y square we will be replacing with y1. Similarly in place of x we will be replacing with x plus x1 and in place of y we will be replacing with y plus y1. So this is the standard replacement for the equation of tangent in every of our conic sections. So this is not only for our circles. So this will be the same case when it comes to the parabola, ellipse and hyperbola. So for every other cases also we will be having the same condition here, where in order to write the equation of tangent here, the x square will be replaced with xx1, y square will be replaced with y1, x will be replaced with x plus x1 and y will be replaced with y plus y1. Right. So that gives you the equation of the tangent in point form, which is here given you the followed one, which is the equation of tangent in point form, which is xx1 plus y1 plus g into x plus x1 plus f into y plus y1 plus c equal to 0. So that is for our circle equation general form. So if you are having a circle equation x square plus y square equal to r square, then the equation of tangent will be xx1 plus y1 minus r square equal to 0, which is actually the condition t equal to 0. So these are the conditions for the t equal to 0, which is the equation of tangent in point form. So now as we are talking about our position of point which lies on the circle, which relates us to the equation of tangent. So the next form of equation we are having is the slope form. Right. So if we are having a line that is y equal to mx plus c, so this line will be the equation of tangent if the line and the circle satisfies the condition, which is the condition of, which is called to be the condition of tangency. So the condition of tangency for the circles is given to be c square is equal to a square into 1 plus m square. So this is my condition of tangency here for the circles. So if my circle and this line y equal to mx plus c satisfies this condition, then this line y equal to mx plus c will be representing my equation of tangent in slope form, and the equation of tangent in slope form is given here, that is c here will be equal to plus or minus a root over 1 plus m square. So that will be substituted in my line end up giving you my equation of tangent in slope form here will be equal to y equal to mx plus or minus a into root over 1 plus m square. So here, so far we have seen like the point will be inside, like on the circle, that will giving you us to the tangent. So now what will be the coordinates of this point of contact, that is the point lying on the circle for this slope form. So if you are having the equation of tangent without the point of which is lying on the circle, you can even find the point using this corresponding formula. So the coordinates of the point here is nothing but plus or minus ma by root over 1 plus m square, comma plus or minus a by root over 1 plus m square. So these are my coordinates of the point of contact, and this will be my equation of tangent in slope form here. So let's move on to the next form of equation, which is the parametric form here. So same thing how we have seen in our parametric form of equation of circle. So we'll be having the similar kind for our equation of tangent too. So here the point of contact, that is the point, the position of point which is lying on the circle, is given to be a cos theta, a sin theta. Then the corresponding equation of the tangent passing through that point of contact is given to be x cos theta plus y sin theta is equal to a. Right. So now, so we have started with our position of point when it lies on the circle. So there will be a tangent passing through it. Right. So now, if I am having my position of my point lying outside the circle. So while dealing with our position of point, we have seen three cases. One case is when the point lies on the circle. The other case is when point lies or outside the circle. And the third case is when a point lies inside the circle. So we have finished with our first case where the point lies on the circle. There we will be having our tangent. So where if a point lies outside the circle, then there is a possibility here to draw two tangents to the circle. So here you can see this is the circle, and my point P x1 comma y1 is a point which is having the position outside the circle. So with this point we can actually draw two tangents to the circle. So one tangent you can see PQ is one tangent and PR here will be the other tangent. Right. So this is the exterior when the point lies outside the circle. Right. So now here as we are having two tangents, so those two combinedly called to be the pair of tangents here. Like how we are having equation of a single tangent. So here we will be having the equation of a combined equation of this pair of tangents here. So now the condition for this combined equation of pair of tangents is nothing but S1 is equal to t square. So what is our equation of tangent which we have seen? That condition will be t equal to 0. Whereas here for our pair of tangents, in order to find this combined equation, so the condition will be S1 is equal to t square. So S is nothing but equation of the circle. S1 is nothing but equation of the circle after substituting our point lying outside the circle, which is P x1 comma y1, and t square is nothing but equation of the tangent whole square. Right. So let's see what is S. So S for the circle, x square plus y square equal to r square will be x square plus y square minus r square, whereas S1 here will be x1 square plus y1 square minus r square. Similarly t, so whenever we are talking about t, so we have to replace our x square with x1 and y square with y1. So there is no x, so it will be minus r square. So these are the corresponding equations of S, S1 and t which we have to substitute in this condition in order to get the combined equation of this pair of tangents, which are drawn from the point P x1 comma y1 which is lying outside the circle. So for the same condition here, so as PQ is one tangent and PR is one tangent, we have seen the combined equation of these two pair of tangents. So now if you see, the point Q is on the circle and point R is also on the circle. So if you join these two lines, so it will actually form a chord, which is called to be the chord of contact of the two tangents PQ and PR. Right, so PR is basically the chord of contact. So now as it's a chord, we will be having the equation for this chord of contact also. Right, so this chord of contact is also a line. So the equation of this chord of contact QR for the two tangents which is given here, which are drawn from this outside point P, the equation of QR will be having the same condition, which is t equal to 0. And the point here will be again x1 comma y1. So the equation of the chord of contact will also have the same condition, t equal to 0, which gives you the equation is here, which is x1 plus y1 plus g into x plus x1 plus f into y plus y1 plus c equal to 0 will be the equation of this chord of contact QR. Right. So for this same pair of tangents, we are having some many results here, derived results. So now as we are talking about our point when it lies exterior, that is outside to the circle, so it actually gives us two tangents which are pair of tangents here. So let's have look over the standard results which are related to this pair of tangents here. So here you can see AB is the chord of contact, and here you can see M is basically the midpoint of this chord of contact AB here. So let's see the standard results which are related to this pair of tangents. So the first one is the midpoint M of this chord of contact. So the coordinates of this midpoint are given here, which is from our points x1 comma y1 as well as the radius of this circle R. So the radius of this circle is nothing but R. So the, with those two conditions, those two terms, we can find the coordinates of this point M, which are given to be R square x1 by x1 square plus y1 square comma R square y1 by x1 square plus y1 square. Right. So similarly, you can see AB is nothing but the chord of contact. We have already seen the equation of this chord of contact, which is V, which will be equal to t equal to 0. Right. So whereas as this is the chord, we can actually find the length of this chord. So the length of this chord of contact is given to be 2r root over x1 square plus y1 square minus r square. So here you can see for this circle, the equation is given to be x square plus y square is equal to r square. Right. So the length of this chord of contact AB is given here with 2r root over x1 square plus y1 square minus r square divided by root over x1 square plus y1 square. So the next condition we are having is BC and AC. So basically in your 10th standard itself, you have learned that when we are having a point lying outside and we could able to draw two tangents, the lengths of the tangents will always be equal. That means here BC will be equal to AC, and these two will be equal to root over x1 square plus y1 square minus r square. So this x1 square plus y1 square minus r square is nothing but substitution of the exterior point in the equation of circle, which means this is S1. So from here we can find the formula for our length of tangents, which is given to be root over S1. Right. So the length of tangent here will be the formula in order to find the length of tangent is equal to root over S1. Right. So the next one here is, you can see it actually forming a quadrilateral, which is ABCA. So that is actually a quadrilateral. So now as we are having a quadrilateral, we can actually find the area of the quadrilateral. So this area of the quadrilateral can also be found using the length of the tangent, which means area of the quadrilateral will be equal to R into root S1, which is R into length of the tangent. So the next one is area of the other two triangles. So the first area of the triangle we are having is triangle ABC, and the other triangle is triangle OAB. So this is the first triangle. triangle ABC. So the area of this triangle is given here, r by x1 square plus y1 square into x1 square plus y1 square minus r square whole power 3 by 2, which means r by x1 square plus y1 square s1 power 3 by 2. Because we already know this x1 square plus y1 square minus r square is nothing but s1. Right. So similarly, the area of this second triangle OAB is also given here, which is r cube by x1 square plus y1 square into root over s1. So now here, as we have seen, so this AC and BC are two tangents, and this alpha is the angle which is forming between these two tangents. Right. So now what will be the angle here? So angle alpha here will be equal to 2 tan inverse r by root s1. So using this formula, we can actually find the angle between these two pair of tangents, which is alpha here. Right. So if for suppose this angle alpha, right, so if this angle alpha is equal to 90 degrees, right, so we'll be having a circle and the tangents which are actually having their angle between them is a 90 degrees. So then so this is my point, then the locus of the point here will also be a circle, and that circle is called to be a director circle. Right. That means when the angle between the two tangents is 90 degrees and the locus of the point will also be a circle, which is called to be a director circle. Right. So that is the director circle, and the director circle equation will also be there, which is given here. So if the circle equation is x square plus y square is equal to a square, then the corresponding equation of the director circle is given here, which is x square plus y square is equal to 2a square. Similarly, for the other circle, also the standard equation of director circle is given. So basically, the director circle will occur when the angle between these two tangents alpha here is equal to 90 degrees. So when that angle is 90 degrees, then the locus passing through this point will also be a circle called to be a director circle, and the corresponding equations of director circle is given here. So the next one is, so here we are now talking about the points only. So if this point P is called a point P which actually satisfies this condition, which is PA dot PB, which is equal to PC dot PD equal to PT square. So if anywhere A, B, C, D are some points, right? So if any point P satisfies this condition, that point is called to be a power point with respect to the circle. PT is the tangent, length of the tangent. Right. So far we are talking about our position of point, and with respect to the position of point, we have talked about tangent. So let's see a question here related to that. So the locus of a point which moves such that the length of the tangents from it to the circles, to the two circles, are equal. So it's very easy. So you can take that point to be h comma k, and here the condition is the lengths of tangents from this point to the two circles will be equal. So you can find so for circle 1, you can find this, and circle 2, you can find the length of tangent, right? And you can equate these two, which will be giving you the locus of the point h comma k, right? So that will be giving you the answer, which is the locus of the point P h comma k. So far we are talking about the point when it lies on the circle, which is related to our tangent, and we have seen when point lies exterior, that is outside the circle, which end up giving us the pair of tangents. So now here, if a point lies on the circle, we have seen it will be giving you the tangent, right? So if a line which is perpendicular to this tangent and forms 90 degrees angle, so that line is called to be the normal. So basically this normal here is related to our tangent only. So basically that is perpendicular line to the tangent. So it can be for our exterior point, it can be to our point lying on here. So for the first case, if point lying on the circle, you'll be having a normal something like this. If we are having a point exterior to it, so we'll be having two tangents here, something like this. And for each of these tangents, we can have the perpendicular lines here. So the first one will be a perpendicular line something like this here, and the second one will be a perpendicular line something like this here. So these are my two normals to each of the corresponding tangents here when we are having a point lying outside the circle. So for these two possible cases, we can have our normals here. We can have equation of normal. So again we can have different forms of equation of normals here. So let's start with the first form of equation of normal, which is the point form. So the equation of normal at any point. So here that is the point P, x1 comma y1. If this is the point and we have to write the equation of the normal, then it will be equal to xy1 minus x1y is equal to 0. So or we can rewrite this in another format, which is given by x by x1 is equal to y by y1. So both are actually represents the equation of normal in terms of a point form, right? So the next form of equation of normal we are having is a slope form here. So the slope form we will be having in terms of m, which is m is the slope, which is given here. The equation of normal in slope form, which is ym is equal to minus x plus or minus r root over 1 plus m square. So this equation of normal are applicable for both the cases, when point lying on the circle or when point lying outside the circle. For both the cases we will be having tangent and pair of tangents. So for both the cases we can have our normal and we can use the following forms of equations. So the next form of equation to the normal we are having is the parametric form of equation. So here the point will obviously in our parametric coordinates, which is given here, a cos theta comma a sin theta, and the corresponding equation of normal is given to be y equal to x tan theta. So in other words, we can write this as y equal to x sin theta by cos theta, which implies y cos theta is equal to x sin theta will also represent the equation of normal in terms of the parametric form. So let's have look over the question here. And then so far we have talked about our tangent, pair of tangents and normal. So all these cases are related to our position of point, when the position of point lies on the circle, and the second case when the position of point lies outside the circle. So we are left with one more condition of this position of point. We'll discuss that later. So let's have a look over this question first. So a point P 5, 7 on a circle, a tangent and a normal is drawn. The area of the triangle formed by this tangent normal with x-axis. So let's draw a circle. So from this we can find the center of the circle, which is 2, 3. So the center of the circle from the equation, which is 2, 3, and we can even find the radius of the circle, which is given to be 5. Right. So a point 5, 7. Right. So this point 5, 7, let it be here. Right. So a point 5, 7 on the circle, a tangent and a normal is drawn. So if we see according to axis, it will be something like this. So a tangent and a normal is drawn here. So it will be cutting the x-axis something like this. Similarly perpendicular. So it will be like this and it will be cutting here. So let this point be M and let this point be N. Because they are talking here to find the area of the triangle which is formed by this tangent normal with the x-axis. So here you can see, so this is the x-axis and our tangent normal points are M and N here. So the required area of the triangle is, so this point is P. So the area of the triangle which we required is PMN. So the triangle here is PMN. We have to find the area. So what is this area of the triangle? Half into base is nothing but distance between these 2 points MN. So height of this triangle, so if we drop this perpendicular, so this is basically the height of the triangle and this length is nothing but the 7 according to the coordinates of this point P. So the height will be 7. So in order to find this area of the triangle which is formed by this tangent normal with x-axis, the only required thing here is the distance between this MN. So in order to find that, we have to get the coordinates of this point M as well as the point N. So the first starting point here is you have to find the equation of tangent and you have to find the equation of normal. So we have already discussed how to write the equation of tangent as well as the equation of normals. So you can find the equation of tangent and normal, and here you can see, so this normal is actually intersecting the x-axis, which means the y coordinate will be 0. So find the equation of tangent and substitute y equal to 0. That will give you the x coordinate and you will be having the coordinates of point M. Similarly here, substitute y equal to 0 in this equation of normal too. So then you will be having again the x coordinate which will be giving you the coordinates of the N. So by after finding this equation of tangent and normal and the substitution of y equal to 0, we will be having the coordinates of both the points M and N here. So once we have the coordinates, we can use the distance formula in order to find this area of this triangle. But here this area will be equal to lambda, whereas you have to find the value of 24 lambda, and I'll be just giving you the final answer. 24 lambda will be equal to 1225. So just verify this once you're done solving this question. So far we are discussed with the position of point when it lies on the circle, when it lies exterior, that is outside the circle. So now let's discuss when the position of point is actually inside the circle. When the position of point is inside the circle, we can actually draw a chord passing through this point. So like this, we can draw chords of the circle which are passing through the point, which when the position of point is lying inside the circle, right? So now as we actually form a chord here, so we'll be having the equation. So the equation of the chord, so in order to write this equation of the chord, the condition we are having here is t equal to s1. So this is the condition we'll be using in order to write the equation of the chord. So you have to remember when we can actually find this chord. So when the position of point lies inside the circle. So you can see the equation of the chord here. So this is t and this will be s1. So t equal to s1 will be the condition in order to write the equation of the chord of the circle here. So next one here we are going to see is pole and polar. So this is also with respect to our chord we can see. So here let's take a point. So on both cases, so one point will be taking on the like the position of point will be taking here is exterior, one will be outside and one will be inside. So for both the cases we can actually have this pole and polar here. So here I have shown you the figures of both the cases. So where the first one you can see the position of point is outside the circle, and the second you can see the position of point is inside the circle. Right, so through this point P, so we actually have to draw two chords to the circle. So in the first case you can see one chord AB and the other chord A dash B dash through the point P here. So similar case with the second one here where the point is inside the circle. So the two chords here are AB, A dash, B dash, right? So now from these chord points, so if we draw tangents, so they'll be meeting at the exterior point here. So through the chord AB, so they'll be meeting at the exterior point Q. Similarly with A dash, B dash, so they'll be meeting at the exterior point Q dash, right? So same in this case also. So here the tangents of AB chord will be meeting at point Q, and the tangents of A dash, B dash will be meeting at point Q dash. So now if we join these 2 points Q and Q dash, so they'll be giving you a straight line here. So here you can see Q and Q dash joining, it will be a straight line, similar with this case Q and Q dash. So now the line which is joining the 2 exterior points Q and Q dash is nothing but the polar of the circle. So polar with respect to the circle, and the point here, whether it is inside or outside the circle, that point P here is called to be the pole with respect to the circle. So here we can see pole is nothing but a point, whereas polar is nothing but a line. So these 2 points you have to keep in mind. Pole is a typical point and polar is a line. Right, so you have to have the whole idea of this pole and polar here. So now as we have seen, basically pole is a point and polar is a equation. It's basically a line. So as it's a straight line, we'll be having the equation of the polar. Right, so let's see the equation of the polar to the circle depending upon the equation of the circle. So if for the first case, if the equation of the circle is x square plus y square equal to r square, then the corresponding equation of the polar to the circle is given to be x(x1) plus y(y1) is equal to r square, which is nothing but, in another terms we can say t is equal to 0. So the condition to write the equation of the polar to the circle is also t equal to 0. So the same case with the second type of equation, which means for our general standard equation of the circle here. So which is given x square plus y square plus 2gx plus 2fy plus c equal to 0. So for this circle also we could able to write the equation of the polar where t equal to 0 is the condition here. Right. So if t equal to 0 is the condition, so what will be our replacements? What will be our substitutions which we have discussed? So discussed earlier, in place of x square it will be x(x1), y square it will be y(y1), x it will be x plus x1, whereas it will be x plus x1 by 2 actually, because 2 will be getting cancelled, right? So in place of y, so y plus y1 by 2. So I forgot in the front, in the before slides I have mentioned by 2 or not. So if not, you just correct it here. So x is equal to x plus x1 by 2, because here 2 must be eliminated. And in place of y, it will be y plus y1 by 2. So these are the substitutions we will be doing in place of our variables x square, y square, x and y according to our condition t equal to 0 in order to write the equation of the polar to the circle. Right. So in the same concept of pole and polar, we are having 2 more definitions, which are conjugate points and conjugate lines. Right. So let's have a look over this definition of these conjugate points as well as the conjugate lines here. Right. So 2 points A and B are conjugate points with respect to a given circle. Right. So 2 points A and B will be points with respect to a given circle if each lies on the polar of the other with respect to the circle. For suppose if we are having point A. So the polar of A, so polar is nothing but the line, right? So if the polar of this point A, if it is lies on B, the same with polar of B is lying on A. So then we can say these 2 points A and B are conjugate points to each other. Right. So you have to remember, when we are talking about conjugate points, the polars of these points with respect to each other must be lying on the other. So when it comes to conjugate lines, so now it will be talking about the pole. So when we are talking about polar conjugate points, it will be with respect to the polar. So but when we are talking about conjugate lines, then it will be talking with respect to the pole of the circle. So if two lines be such that the pole of one lies on the other, then they are called to be conjugate lines. So pole, it's nothing but the points. If these points of other lines will be lying on each other, then it will be those points, those lines are called to be conjugate lines with respect to the circle. So the main idea which you have to remember is when we are talking about conjugate points, we will be talking with respect to the polars. When we are talking about conjugate lines, we will be talking about with respect to the poles, right? So let's have a question related to our circles, chord and all here. So let's have a look over this. So one of the diameter of the circle C1 is chord of the circle C2. So let's take a circle C1. So this is my circle C1. So whereas for this circle C1, my center and radius I can easily find out because the circle equation C1 is given. So let me take the center, let it be C1. The center for this circle will be 1, 3. So center will be 1, 3 and radius you can figure it out. So I think it will be around 2. Yeah. So the radius will be 2 based upon the equation itself. So if I drop a diameter. So the diameter I will be taking something like this. Longest chord. Okay, let me draw a figure neatly. So let me take this circle and let me draw the diameter first. So we know the center which is 1, 3 and radius we already know which is 2 because the equation of the circle is given. And this diameter of this circle is basically chord to the other circle. Which means let me draw one more circle with the diameter to be a chord. Right, so for this circle center will be somewhere here. So if I join these points here, so this center of the circle is already given in the question which is 2, 1. So now our question is we have to find the radius of this exterior circle C2, which means we have to find this hypotenuse of this right angle triangle. So this in this right angle triangle you can see, so this point is 2, 1, this point is 1, 3. And this is the radius which we have to find and this is 2 which is already given. So according to these 2 points you can figure out this distance and using the hypotenuse theorem you can easily find this radius of the circle C2. So it's just as simple as that. Once you can figure out the diagram here, it will be easy to find the radius. So let's have one more question. So find the equation of the circle described on the common chord of the circle. So now we are talking about common chord. So here we are having 2 circles. So let me draw 2 circles. So 2 circles equations are given, which means I know the centers of the circle. So let me directly write the centers. So one circle center 2, 0 and the other 0, -4. So obviously I am aware of the radius also. So let me draw the common chord here. So this will be my radius of the 2 circles. Right. So here I have to find the equation of the circle described on the common chord of the circles. So here my aim is here to figure out the equation of the circle which is described on this common chord. So to write the equation of the circle, I required the radius one thing as well as the center. So when it is described on the common chord, so the center will be this midpoint. So if my center is A and B, center of the circle, so I can figure out the midpoint M here. So my midpoint M will be the center of required circle. So now I have to find my radius. So let this point be C. So how can I find my radius? So my radius here is nothing but MC. So this MC is basically my radius of the required circle. So which I can find using AC square minus AM square under root. AC square is nothing but radius, which is already known. AM, as M point is known, we can find our AM distance. So once we have the center of the required circle as well as the radius, that is MC is the radius of the required circle. So what are you waiting for? We can just construct the equation of the circle as we are having the center as well as the radius of the circle here. So that's how we'll be finding the equation of the circle, which is described on the common chord. So now as we are finished with our 3 cases of position of points and the terms and things related to that, like when point lies on the circle, we have talked about tangent, and when point lies outside the circle, we have talked about the pair of tangents, and we have when the point lies inside the circle, we have talked about chord, and for all those we have for tangents we have even talked about our normal. So according to our position of point, whatever things related, we have already discussed those things. So now let's jump into our next thing, which is similar. In the previous case, in every case we are talking about one circle, but now we are jumping into a vast one, which is we are going to discuss about 2 circles. So like how many tangents we can draw when we have 2 circles. So depending upon the conditions, how many tangents we can draw. So those and all things we are going to have a look here. Right. So common tangents to circles. So there are different cases here. So 2 circles can intersect, 2 circles can touch each other, 2 circles can never intersect. So these are different cases actually. So for each of these cases, there are different types of common tangents we can draw to them. So let's have a look over those things here. So we are done with a single circle concept which we have discussed. So now let's jump into our 2 circles concept. So when the distance between the centers is greater than the sum of the radius. So let's consider 2 circles with center C1 and C2. So the distance between these 2 centers C1, C2 is actually greater than R1 plus R2, which indicates that the 2 circles will be in this shape. Right. So when 2 circles are like this, how many tangents we can draw? We could able to draw 4 tangents, amongst which 2 are direct common tangents, which you can see P is the exterior point here. So direct 2 tangents while touching these 2 circles I can draw 2, whereas these 2 are the transverse, are called to be transverse common tangents while touching the both 2 circles when my condition is C1, C2 greater than R1 plus R2. So for the same condition, I could able to find my lengths of this direct common tangent as well as my transverse common tangent. So here there are the formulas in order to find the direct common tangent of the circles here, of the 2 circles, and the transverse common tangent of the 2 circles here. So the first one is root over C1 C2 whole square minus of R1 minus R2 whole square. So this is for direct common tangent. And for transverse common tangent, it is C1 C2 whole square minus of R1 plus R2 whole square under root. So these formulas we can directly apply in order to find this length. So the next case we are having here is when the distance of between these 2 centers. That means let me consider 2 circles. So C1 and C2. So here you can see the distance between C1 and C2 here is nothing but equal to sum of their radius. That means R1 plus R2 here, which means here the condition of these 2 circles is they will be touching externally. So how many tangents we could able to draw? If P is the external point here, that means 1 direct common tangent and second direct common tangent and only 1 transverse common tangent we could able to draw here. Right. So this is our second case and the number of tangents. So initially 4 common tangents we could able to draw. Now there are 3 common tangents we can able to draw. So now moving on to our third case, when the distance between the centers is less than their sum of radius. That means the modulus of R1 minus R2 is less than C1 C2 is less than R1 plus R2, which means here the 2 circles which are given are actually two intersecting circles. Right. So as we are having two intersecting circles, so they'll be in this condition which satisfies this standard condition. So from this exterior point P, we could able to draw only two direct common tangents. So now if you identify, for the first case we could able to draw 4, second case we could able to draw 3, and for third case we could able to draw two common tangents to two circles. So to our next here, the next case is about when the distance between the centers is equal to the difference of the radius. So this will be the condition here where our distance between centers, so C1, C2 will be equal to difference between the radius, which means they'll be actually touching each other internally. So here you can see in this figure, so C1 and C2, so this is the distance. So this is basically equal to my difference of R1 minus R2. Right. So that's how I'll be having my two circles touching each other internally. So as they are touching internally, so there is only one possible case in order to draw a common tangent to these circles. That means I can able to draw only one common tangent for this fourth case of circles. So let's move on to my last and final case here, which is about when the distance between the center is less than the difference of the radius. So my distance between the centers is less. Initially it is equal for our previous case, but now it is less, which means it shows that the circles neither touch in each other nor intersect. So when both of the circles neither touch nor intersect, then there is no possibility of drawing any common tangent here. So is there any possibility to draw a tangent which is common for both the circles? No, right? So there is no possibility of common tangents. So no common tangents for this case. So as we have discussed our 5 cases, the number of common tangents are in decreasing order. First 4, next 3, next 2, next 1 and next 0. So these are our 5 cases for our common tangents to the circles. So now as we have seen our common tangents to the two circles, now let's see the angle of intersection of the two circles. So when we have two circles here, so this will be the angle of intersection of these two circles. Right. So in order to find this angle of intersection, you can directly apply the formula of cos here, which is given here. So you can see C1 is the center of one circle, C2 is center of the other circle, whereas R1 and R2 are the radii of the circles here. So D is the distance between the centers C1, C2. So using that, you can apply this formula cos 180 minus theta, which is equal to R1 square plus R2 square minus D square divided by 2 R1 R2. So you can either apply this formula or else you can directly apply this formula, which are in terms of our G, F and C constants. So either of the formula you can apply to get the angle of intersection between the circles, which is theta here. Right. So now as we have seen the angle of intersection, that is angle of intersection between the two circles, if for suppose this angle of intersection between these two circles theta is equal to 90 degrees, what happens? So then those two circles are said to be orthogonal to each other if the angle of intersection of these two circles is 90 degrees. Right. So we have seen how to find the angle of intersection. If in case that angle of intersection between two circles is 90 degrees, then those two are called to be orthogonal to each other. And here we are having a condition of orthogonality given here, which is 2 of G1 G2 plus F1 F2 equal to C1 plus C2. So this is the condition of orthogonality, which means two circle angle of intersection is equal to 90 degrees. Right. So now we are having the next concept, which is radical axis and the radical center. Right. So radical axis is nothing but the locus of the point. When we have the tangents drawn through the point with the equal length. That means here PQ and PR. So here PQ is a tangent and PR is a tangent. So PQ is equal to PR. That means lengths of the tangents here are equal. So then the locus of the point passing through this P is called to be the radical axis. Right. So let's move on to the radical center. So basically radical center is the point of intersection of these radical axes of three different circles. So this is a radical axis of one circle L, and this N is radical axis of another circle, and M is the radical axis of another circle. That means the three intersection of these three radical axes is nothing but called to be the radical center here. Right. So as we have already seen the condition of orthogonality for the circle, so now let's see the equation of the radical axis. So we have just learned what do you mean by this radical axis. So it's basically the locus passing through the point which is having the equal lengths of tangents. So that we have already seen here. So now the equation of this radical axis here is nothing but, so in order to draw this radical axis we require two circles. So one circle will be equation 1, that is S1. So one circle with equation is S2. So that in order to find the equation of this radical axis of these two circles, which will be getting from S1 minus S2 equal to 0. So that will be giving us the equation of the radical axis. And the next one here is the two limiting points of the given coaxial system. Right. So for a coaxial system, so we will be having two limiting points. So the two limiting points here are given to be root C minus root C comma 0 and minus root C comma 0. So if you want any detail regarding this concept of radical axis and also, you can get back to my full version videos. So there you will be getting the full detailed version of this concept. So as we are talking about, we will be having two limiting points. So amongst which, if we are having one is to be the origin and the other we can find for the circle is given to be this formula, which is minus GC comma G square plus F square comma minus FC divided by G square plus F square. So these are our limiting points of the coaxial system. So if you have origin to be 1, you can find the other using this formula. Right. So far we have covered every topic. So let's have a question related to our orthogonality condition also here. And we are done with all the concepts related to our JEE level in our circles topic. So let's have a quick quick discussion regarding this question. So find the equation of a circle which cuts the circle orthogonally and which passes through the point 3, 0 and touches the y-axis. So here they have given equation of the circle. So we have to find the equation of the circle which cuts this circle orthogonally. And that circle will also passes through this point 3, 0 and touches y-axis. So if it is passing through the, so let me take touches y-axis. So the circle will be touching y-axis here. And passes through 3, 0. So 3, 0. So that circle will be passing through this 0, y as well as this 3, 0. So if you take the center to be h, k of this circle, so then distance from this point and distance to this point will be equal. They are same. From there you will be end up having a equation in terms of h and k. Yes or no? As it's passing, so this y, as it's touching 3, 0, so this y is nothing but the radius only. Right. So from where you will be, according to this condition, you will be having a equation of the circle. One equation in terms of h and k. Right. And the other you can get by this orthogonal condition, which is 2 of G1 plus G2. So G1, G2 plus F1, F2 is equal to C1 plus C2. So this is our orthogonality condition. So one condition you will get from this and the other condition you can get from this, and you end up getting the equation of the circle which cuts the circle orthogonally, because that is one condition, and the other condition they have given is that circle will be passing through this 3, 0 and touches the y-axis. So that's all for our session, guys. So actually I have planned to finish it in an hour, but it took more than that. But it's okay, as we have discussed all the concepts related to the circles in the point of view of our JEE Mains as well as JEE Advanced. So apart from that, I suggest you guys to pick some questions from previous year papers and try to solve them, so which actually helps you in your practice. So that's all, guys. So we'll meet with a new topic in our one-shot review sessions. Thank you, guys.